most watched news in Western Washington. King 5 News starts now.
2 deadly shootings in 2 different parts of Seattle within minutes of each other.
You hear this shot, you hear this gun, and you are thinking, what have I just witnessed? What am I going to do?
Tonight, the woman who tried to help one of the victims visits the other crime scene.
I believe that there was a chance that he could have shot me right there because I saw him.
She is safe, along with the rest of the city, after police find their suspect. And new tonight, we found out the gunman and a 5th victim died at the hospital.
The shootings happened in the Roosevelt neighborhood and downtown just before noon. And by 4:30, police cornered the suspect in West Seattle, where he shot himself in the head. We have several crews covering tonight's top story, but we begin with King 5's Jim Foreman. He's live outside the scene of the first shooting to walk us through the sequence of events. Jim.
Yes, behind me here at the Cafe Racer tonight, they're holding what they're calling a wake. They're just on the other side of that car. As it moves forward, I'll get out of the way. You can see several dozen people gathered here. And as I'm talking to them, we're learning a little bit more. The suspect they knew as Spider Wolf. He'd only been coming around for a few weeks, but that was long enough for him to be barred from the place. He was trouble in what seems to be a trouble-free cafe, known for great music and good times. Regulars say he seemed ready to snap, and today he did.
I think I could have easily been shot also today.
The 2 crime scenes converged tonight.
I heard about all that had happened here, and I think just the huge loss of life.
When Joanne Stremler came here to the Cafe Racer,
I was so involved in this murder. This is a murder that happened this morning. These are murders. And I'm a Christian, and I decided that as a Christian I needed to come by and pay my respects and tell those families out there, don't give up hope.
Joanne says she was downtown when she came face to face with this man, identified by the Times as Ian Stawicki, who police say shot 6 people today, killing 5. The first gunshots were around 11 a.m. here at the cafe on Roosevelt, where late into the evening crime scene experts were still working. And then a half an hour later, when he shot and killed a woman at 8th and Seneca, then sped off in her SUV. Joanne says she raced to give the woman CPR and then simply hold her hand, an image she says will haunt her.
I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see somebody shot in the skull again.
After the carjacking, Stawicki headed for West Seattle, where police found the stolen Mercedes. By late afternoon, convinced the shootings were connected, a team spotted Stawicki. That's when he turned the gun on himself. Stawicki's brother tells the Times he was mentally ill. Those who knew him from the Racer say he was unstable, eventually asked not to come back.
He would be totally normal, educated, and then all of a sudden he would just crack and become slightly deranged, possessed, and saying crazy stuff. So at a certain point, they kicked him out. And then this morning they said, "You're 86th. You can't be here. Would you like a coffee to go?" And he was nice, courteous, said no thank you, walked to the door, and turned and then started shooting.
At the cafe, a memorial is growing as those who found the Racer a haven from the stress of life are turning to each other for comfort, wondering simply why. Why so many of their friends are gone so suddenly. It's just hard to try and put into words.
I'd rather not. Thanks.
A lot of emotion here tonight. You know, they're celebrating the lives of these people, and they're going to be here for quite some time. King 5 News reviewed court records, and it shows Stawicki had some minor brushes with the law. Most of the charges, including a gun charge back in 1998, were dismissed. And tonight, developing here, the story of a hero. One man who was inside the cafe who picked up a stool and threw it at Stawicki, distracting him long enough for some to make their getaway. We're live tonight in Seattle. I'm Jim Foreman, King 5 News.
Jim, thank you. We've spent the night learning more about the victims in today's deadly shootings. King 5's Amy Marino now live at 11 from Harborview, where some of the victims were taken. Amy, what are we hearing?
Well, we understand that many of those shot and killed today were good friends. We're told there was a tight-knit group of friends at Cafe Racer. It was almost like a family. And tonight, many have come here to visit the surviving victim, Leonard Muse. He's here in critical but stable condition, and we're hearing more about two of the victims that were killed. One is Joe Albanese. Friends say he was a great guy, that he had a heart of gold. He helped coordinate some of the music at the cafe, and we're told he was roommates with another victim, Drew Karakidis. They used to belong to a circus group called Circus Contraption. They were performers, and tonight many of their friends gathered outside the cafe in an impromptu tribute in their honor. Friends say it was a fitting tribute for an artistic group of friends that spent their spare time at the cafe. Some contributing themselves to the melodies that have played at Cafe Racer Espresso over the years. The lone survivor of the shooting has been identified by friends and family as Leonard Muse. He was hit in the jaw and on his side, but it appears he's going to be okay. A Bellevue woman was the other victim of the shooting spree, gunned down next to her car in the parking lot at Town Hall. Around her neighborhood tonight, there is more shock and sadness.
Nice, quiet neighbors, friendly.
And tonight we did talk to a family member of that woman shot at 8th and Seneca, and understandably they say they're still too sad to talk about this. Neighbors tell us she was the mother of two and ran a lighting design business. We believe she was in the Seattle area today on business. Live at Harborview, Amy Marino, King 5 News.
Thank you, Amy. Well, during the manhunt, police fanned out in North Seattle, downtown, and West Seattle. Right after the shootings at the coffee shop, police had their guns drawn as they scoured the Roosevelt neighborhood. Officials put a lockdown on Roosevelt High and other schools in the area. A plainclothes detective spotted the suspect in West Seattle, but once Ian Stowicki saw uniformed police, he shot himself. The search involved more than 55 detectives, plus the FBI and countless other patrol officers. An unsuspecting Roosevelt man was the victim of mistaken identity during the suspect search. A man who shares the same first name as the shooter says police showed up at his door with their guns drawn.
Lubeck SWAT, and they seemed pretty serious, so, I did what they said, and, they kind of detained us for a second and did what they had to do.
Apparently, Stowicki lived at a Roosevelt home months ago.
Seattle's mayor is pushing the police department to find a way to address the gun violence that's wearing down the residents of the city.
We've also made it clear to them that it's their highest priority to identify the strategies that we need to employ to try to bring an end to this wave of gun violence that the city is seeing.
The mayor and city council are considering job assistance programs and closing the so-called gun show loophole to address gang and gun problems.
Today's deadly shootings are just the latest in a very deadly week as gun violence escalates in the city. It began last Thursday with the shooting death of an innocent father. Someone fired a shot and it struck Justin Ferrari as he drove his family in the Central District. The killer has not been found. Saturday evening, a shooting at the Folklife Festival left another innocent man with a gunshot wound. In the early hours of Sunday, police responded to 4 drive-by shootings in South Seattle where more than 60 shots were fired. No one was seriously hurt or killed. Later that same morning in North Seattle, a robber with a gun broke into a home with a marijuana grow operation. He shot and killed a man inside. With the 5 people killed today, that means there have been 21 homicides so far this year. That's the same number of homicides which occurred, or one more than occurred all of last year. In the last 10 years, 2003 had the highest rate of homicides with 32 victims.
With all these shootings going on, there's a growing sense of fear throughout the city. King 5's Joe Fryer spent the day in different neighborhoods hit hard by the recent violence. Joe?
Lori, it's not just the sheer number of shootings concerning people. It's the many locations from North Seattle through the heart of the city to South Seattle. And it's the fact that so many of the victims were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Gene Anderson along with Dennis Bounds in the King 5 studio to tell you about a very, very difficult day in Seattle today.
7 days, 7 senseless murders, and practically zero boundaries.
Some agendas over there.
The Central District neighborhood where this violent week began, hundreds packed the community center tonight, wondering when it's going to end.
We've got to do something about this.
Rebecca Francis lives just yards from here.
Several breaking news stories tonight, including a deadly shooting in South Seattle.
The place where an innocent father was shot Thursday while simply driving through the neighborhood.
For my child to duck down in the car as we're driving away saying, I don't want to get shot, is really ridiculous.
We begin in Seattle tonight, where gunfire erupts once again, this time at 4th and Broad.
The violent scenes continued Saturday in the shadow of the Space Needle.
That makes me nervous.
Where another innocent man was shot in the leg while simply crossing the street.
Well, we could just walk over there and be in the same situation.
And now more nerves in downtown Seattle, just blocks from where today an innocent woman was killed.
You never know which way the bullet is going to come and wound you or kill you.
Ramazan Senturk knows getting to the root of the violence won't be easy.
It's been a really rough week.
But back in the Central District, where they paused tonight for a moment of silence, hundreds are committed to doing whatever it takes.
We will make this our highest priority.
Because too many bullets have found too many innocent victims.
I don't know that these things are connected, but we're all connected, and this is all very connected, and it's very close to my heart.
A shooting that happened just a short time later, all these in late morning.
City Councilman Bruce Harrell made it clear tonight there is no easy fix, and that's because there's no way to tie all of these shootings to one thing. So many different factors are at play. Live tonight in Seattle, Joe Fryer, King 5 News.
Thank you, Joe. And wake up with King 5 Morning News for any overnight developments in the deadly Seattle shootings. Information always available on king5.com.
A Lewis County pastor believes God works in mysterious ways.
Coming up, his hope for the two teenagers caught on camera vandalizing his church.
And rejected. The city of Seattle's plan to stagger bar closing times gets booted. The reason why.
But first, a health scare in the governor's mansion. The governor's message after her husband is diagnosed with colon cancer.
Well, we looked at rain moving back into much of western Washington this evening. A look at how long it's going to stick around, and is there any hope for any sunshine anytime soon? My forecast just ahead.